Tarot cards.
They're just little baseball cards with medieval guys on them, right?
Or do they have the power to predict our future?
Let's find out.
It's Ladylike, and we're getting our tarot cards read.
I think it's a fun game that you can bring to a sleepover and impress all your girlfriends when you know their future.
I don't know very much about tarot cards. I remember there was always a infomercial for Miss Cleo, and she would say, "Call me now, toll free to get your tarot card reading."
I did have a tarot reading at a party 2 months ago. At the time when I received the information from the tarot reading, I was like, that's wrong, you're full of bananas. But then the tarot reading ended up being exactly right.
I'm also kind of like a self-proclaimed witchy person where I like doing like witchy things and having crystals and like looking at the moon.
I don't know that I necessarily believe in the tarot, but I think I believe more in like a person who would be reading my tarot cards.
Your belief in this is dependent on whether or not...
The person is just doing her makeup while she's asking me these questions. You believe that tarot is more about people, right? Okay.
Wow, a lot of people have opinions about tarot cards, is something I'm learning. I actually don't really know how tarot cards are like supposed to work.
You draw 3 cards which tell your present circumstances, what spirit suggests, and your future. So tarot cards are a way for the spirit realm and the field to come in and talk to you. Everything is inherently magical if you believe in it.
I mean, I understand that Devin loves witchy things, and it gives her a sense of calm, but it's, you know, they're cards.
I do believe that certain people are just like tapped into this other spiritual realm that not everyone is tapped into. I myself have heard of ghosts before, so who knows?
So I'm having surgery tomorrow. Not a big deal, I'm just having a cyst removed from an ovary. I think I'm gonna ask Maras what my surgery is gonna be like and how long it's gonna take me to get back on my feet. Because those are actual things that I would like to know, if the universe has those answers.
My birthday's coming up. I'm turning on December 23rd. I think I'm gonna ask the universe something about like, how will I grow?
There's a lot of stuff happening right now, so if anyone can make sense of it, I'm here for it.
Hi, my name's Andrea Maris and I'm a tarot reader. I've been reading tarot for about 4 years. What I love most about reading tarot cards is that it's a whole story. It's not really just focused on one specific part of your life, but it's really your feelings, your spirit, your mind, your relationships. It's kind of like a holistic approach to whatever you're dealing with. Whenever I finish a reading, I hope that the person feels a little more direction in their life, just kind of like supported and enlightened. Hi!
Hi!
How are you, baby?
Good.
Nice to see you.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So the question I want to ask is, I'm actually having surgery tomorrow.
Wow.
And I want to know if it's gonna go well, if like my recovery is gonna be as fast as I'd like.
It's like end of the year, right? We're in December 2017. And 2017 was kind of like a lot. And so I'm kind of curious going into 2018, what I need to do to kind of like reignite my fire, I guess.
I personalize everything, so I'm trying to put up those boundaries and learning how to do that. My birthday is actually December 23rd, so it's coming up. And I'm like wondering what this next year is gonna bring in the way of development.
It basically starts with me holding your hands. We'll ask for our ancestors to come into the space. We ask that any other energies and spirits respectfully keep their distance. This is really an opportunity and chance for us to reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with our blood.
Hell yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So I don't know why, but the cards pulled themselves up like this. It almost looks like a crown, doesn't it?
Kind of an ancient crown.
I'll let them kind of describe why they came out like this, which usually happens at the very end. They kind of just unfurl a little story. So we can start with this one. Ooh, honey.
Oh no, what is this?
No, it's not bad. Essentially, like, what this card is trying to get across is a shedding of bad energy. And it's usually centered around a man. So it's like, if you see this man looking into the fire, it's almost like this person is rejecting this other person.
So when we first started reading them, it seemed like there was a bit of a downhill trajectory.
This card talks about kind of like loss. I think the actual story for this kid is his lover, the person that he really wanted, ends up going with somebody else.
When we started going, I was just like, oh my God, like what if I get like a really horrible answer? Because like I asked a question that deals with life and death.
4 of Cups. So this talks about kind of like a moment of laziness. So it's kind of like a little bit of downtime. Not sure exactly how that relates just yet. So the 10 of Swords is a card about war. And so like despite some maybe like dramatic and serious stuff happening around you, you choose to either take it lying down or breaking away from this like war framework. So this card is interesting, 7 of Spears. I don't know if you believe in God or if you have some type of spiritual life force flowing through you, but it almost seems like you couldn't be shaken because you had so much faith.
I also really enjoyed that Marissa's cards were in Spanish too. A lot of my Mexican relatives are just kind of like more in touch with the spiritual side of things. And so it was nice to actually see that represented on the card too, because I was like, I feel like that makes sense.
This card usually represents an unrequited love. Oh, this is what I love about this deck. It's all in Spanish, and it's based off of King Arthur times.
Oh, it's medieval guys on baseball cards.
The 10 of Spears. It's so interesting, 10, 10. Some high activity going on.
I told you, it's been a lot recently.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody's put like a great serious responsibility onto your shoulders. So this is the Magician. It's the #1 major arcana tarot. This card is all about being in tune with yourself, understanding yourself, kind of really embodying and knowing your spirit and trusting it, your instincts.
She does have this like very calming energy where I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
So there's a difference between major arcana and minor arcana. Minor arcana are the things that we kind of have more influence over life. They're the things that we can control, change, manipulate, kind of like the more earthly realm, while the major arcana represents the forces at be, the things that we can't really influence, the things that influence us. And so this card represents balance. It's kind of like this energy that knows how to balance emotion with intellect.
I'm very optimistic. I'm just like, I'm gonna be back at work in 6 days. So I could see this playing out as like, I have to be by myself for longer than I wanna be.
Yeah, so the death card, it's a very, it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is, as you know. So,
It's been kind of good sometimes.
yeah, because it's the end of a cycle. But there's a lot of power going on, like a lot of ground-shattering kind of like changes going on. But you're handling them with grace, dignity, and strength. Yes, honey. The 7 of Shields.
Yes,
I
I'm here.
love this card. So if you can see it, it's really beautiful. It's essentially this magical pillar inside of this castle that lets the viewer see any part of the kingdom. What it's representing is that you have a vision. You kind of know where you're walking towards now. You see the beauty and the possibilities. I think what this card is telling you is like that there's some sort of like not willing to be torn down, ready to fight, kind of ready to continue marching this fight. Because you've already survived it, you've already overcome it. It almost seems like a very mundane experience, this whole thing.
I have experiences with surgery. I kind of know what the deal is. I know it's a lot of downtime, a lot of being bored, a lot of time for me to sit and think about my choices. And I associate those memories with, Maros is saying that I should think about it more like an opportunity and that it may not necessarily be all bad this time.
The Knight of Swords.
This was the card that stuck to your hand.
Yeah.
So that's like the card that really wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, the Knight of Swords represents a young masculine energy, somebody who believes in themselves so much that they go out and do these brave, courageous, stupid acts, almost like a Gryffindor.
Oh, well, I'm a Gryffindor, so that makes total sense.
But they're also really well-intentioned. So like it's not that what they do and where they're coming from is bad, but maybe the execution is a little not thoroughly thought through.
Feels like very much cause and effect, but also very cyclical. You know what I mean? So these cards have been like very honest, like brutally honest, not so much like, you're gonna get a puppy on Tuesday.
So there's 2 kings, and this card is kind of telling you like, now whatever this next year may bring, you're ready for it. I think the person that you're walking out of after having experienced all of this is somebody who trusts themselves a little more, understands that there's spiritual flow that's going about them and they know how to plug into it every now and then, but also approach things realistically.
Every time you do that, I like poop my pants. It occurred to me when we started this that like you might turn over a card and be like,
You're gonna die.
yeah.
I have a feeling that this time is going to be very confusing. Despite this being kind of a underwhelming or whatever experience, it's still gonna bring a little bit of strife in your life. Just enough strife to kind of motivate you to have enough passion in life to overcome.
So I feel like my reading was talking about how I was gonna be faced with probably a lot of downtime, maybe more than I was expecting, but that I would be able to use this time productively and that I will come out of it better.
The last 2 cards I usually like to draw are the top and the bottom of the deck because to me they represent the conscious and the subconscious.
Okay.
Your conscious brain is almost saying like, there's a lot of hope, like a lot of power to change the world to come. And that's good. Like it means that like on the tangible worldly things, you can act on, you know, your work, if you don't obsess over it. Your conscious brain is saying that you kind of lost this year. Despite you having some tangible control over the world, whether it be your income, whether it be your home, whether it be your relationships, you feel like you have a good grasp on that, but who cares? Because you're feeling like you lost, which is a really difficult conflict to be in, but also an easier one compared to literally not having anything, you know?
I still do have many things in my life that go really right for me. And so it's like, oh yeah, I shouldn't, you know, forget about those things that I have, because it is nice that I do have those things, because a lot of people don't. And so to kind of like focus on the good rather than to focus on the like, oh, I need to work for this, or I need to work for that, or here's what I don't have, here's what I'm missing. Those are always just really good life reminders to have.
So the conscious seems to be the Empress.
Okay.
So the Empress is like a very powerful card. She's kind of like the bad bitch sitting on her throne. And at the same time, from my vantage point, it also looks inverted. And inverted usually means like an internal dilemma that you're facing, or the opposite of that, reading traditionally. What I think this is saying is that you might feel like a loss of power when you are stuck in the moment, when you don't see a next opportunity coming up and you don't kind of like have an action plan. That's fine. Like, work on yourself, work on your inner spirit, read books, and kind of like do whatever you need to do that makes you feel clean. Ooh, what happened this year, girl? Then your subconscious is, it looks a little dramatic.
Yeah, it does.
It's essentially a barren wasteland.
Good. I love that my subconscious is a barren wasteland. Yep.
You have a lot of like physical, functional energy. So I think this is the most intense one, I'm sorry.
No, it needed to happen. Like when we sat down and the ancestors were like, all right, here we go. My card reading was surprisingly intense, but then again, I feel like I'm surprisingly intense as a person too.
And then your subconscious is the Justice card, which is beautiful because that card is all about like exactly what you deserve, exactly what the universe has allotted you, exactly as much as you need. Despite your conscious brain kind of running around in circles and being like, well, like, I don't have this yet, I didn't get that, the universe and your subconscious is like, but I'm good, I'm safe, I have a community that loves me. I know that if I put exactly the amount of work that I need to, I'll get exactly what I need.
The last card that she drew was like, oh, but you're like marching into this year, like you're going forth, like you've got it handled. My conscious and subconscious cards actually made me feel really good. I was like, oh, that is true. That is how I feel.
I think what the subconscious is telling you is that this is going to be a really great time for you to build that inner kingdom, that inner castle. It's also the end of the year, which is like a very spiritual time in a lot of different ways. But it might be good to kind of look at the major life choices that you made throughout the year and have no judgment, because that's like one of the most painful feelings to go through, this feeling of guilt and shame and like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So that when you're out of this, despite it being a lot of downtime, you'll feel like you've made a little bit of progress for the next year to come.
So yeah, it was just kind of validating to kind of, do you mind? Oh, sorry. Can I have some then? All right, I just wanted a little chocolate. Sorry. Talk about how my life has been a shitstorm this past year.
I think it would do you a lot of good to like go to the ocean, go to a lake, go to a river, go to somewhere that like you can really just feel your emotions, feel the feels. But the good news is that you have the strength, the vision, and the work ethic to start this work. Realize that all is not lost. Realize how much you've done in this last year. Looking back, like all the victories, all the battles, all the things that you've walked away from with your integrity attached. The universe has your back. So if there are any people that have screwed you over, if there are any kind of like negative forces happening around you, those will balance themselves out, and that's not your priority. Your priority is taking care of yourself.
I definitely need to take pictures of this so I can remember this throughout the year. I'm gonna take a picture with my son. I feel like now I can give myself the permission to have a year that's all about me. You know, healing, Korean spa.
Completely.
Definitely see that in my future.
Thank you so much.
Awkward hug.
I know, because we're like hugging across the corner of a table.
This was my first like proper tarot card reading. It was definitely pulling up just like different things that I've experienced over the past year. It was kind of interesting for Maris to not know those things and still be able to give me kind of like a full and comprehensive version of just like what my year was like.
This year has been a doozy for the world in general, but also kind of for me on a personal level. Hearing Mares just kind of pull that for me was kind of validating, actually. I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, it has been kind of a shitstorm.
I would do this again because it's fun and it's designed to make you feel good. Mada's just very calming and like reassuring. She's just such a warm presence that you can't help but feel just better, even if you didn't realize that you were gonna have any feelings about this experience at all.
I don't know if it's just like her presence or the cards or all of it put together. I definitely do feel a little bit more relaxed. I'm just kind of like, all right, we'll finish off this year and we'll go into the next and it'll be good.
It's of highest priority for me to take some me time in the next year. Makes me feel like it's gonna be a good year. I think I'm gonna learn a lot.
Getting our tarot cards read.
Lady tested.
Lady enlightened.
We've got merch! Click here to buy it.
Spoons! Spoons!